In this video, we're going to take the time to look at introducing indirection, creating factories, and encapsulating fields. So let's open up Password Data Editor and Offset and have them maximized so we can see our code more easily. Once again, let's take a look at the display item. So there may be the case where we want to create a delegate of sort that allows us to take in any Password Data Editor and call display item directly on that object. So what we can do is select our method and go to the refactor menu and select Introduce Indirection. Now this will bring up a new method name, which we can call display item indirect or whatever we'd like to call it. It'll be declared in the Password Data Editor or wherever we'd like to put it, and we'll redirect all the method invocations in our code. If we do this, what we'll see is that the code will tell us that we'll create this method, public static void display item indirect, which will take in the Password Data Editor and just call the display item method on it. So once we have that, then we can see that our code will still run, and it'll change all of those to use the Password Data Editor.display item indirect call, and then it will just call that indirectly. So that's one way that we can create some indirection. The next thing I'd like to look at is introducing a factory into our code. So since the offset implements an interface iOffset, we might have the case that we'd like to make this actually be produced via a factory. And so we can select the constructor that we use for our offset and go to our refactor and select Introduce Factory. Now what we'll do is create a method name such as createOffset, and it will be placed right in this class, and we can then make our constructor private, thereby requiring that each one generates a new object. When we preview this, we'll see that the public static offset createOffset will create a new offset every time we call the factory. So if we want to create the factory, we just select OK, and we can see that the factory then would be created, and now our call to the constructor has become protected. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And then finally, the last thing I'd like to look at is encapsulating a field. So if we go back to Password Data Editor, we note that we do have, again, the password collection and array list of pair, all these fields that are being managed inside of Password Data Editor. Well, we may want to actually make this interchangeable, and so what we can do is select the field, such as the password collection, that we'd like to encapsulate. And then we can simply go to Refactor, Encapsulate Field, and this will give us getters and setters on the object, encapsulate it. We can use whatever access modifier we'd like. We can keep the field reference if we'd like, and we can choose where we'd like to place it. Generate comments, and we can preview what this is going to do. So here you can see the password collection PC equals null becomes private password collection PC equals null, and then later we'll add in some getters and setters at the end of the code to allow us to manage that password collection, which just gives us a little bit of ability to encapsulate that field very easily, add getters and setters, make it so that our class now has more flexibility. And so that wraps up our look at introducing indirection, creating factories, and encapsulating fields.